everyone, and welcome to the Burgess podcast, the show where we are opening up conversations about life at sea, discussing hot topics within the industry, as well as offering mental health support and promoting well-being for crew. We also have our very own in-house recruitment team, so if you or anyone you know is currently looking for a new position, please send your updated CV to recruitment@burgessyachts.com or check out our recruitment posts on Instagram @Burgess Yacht Crew. Before we start, this episode contains some chat which you might find difficult to listen to, so please do check out the show notes for more details. Today I'm catching up with Laura Kilbey, founder of the Sober Crew Social Club. After years of working on board yachts and experiencing firsthand the pressures and challenges that come with life at sea, Laura decided that alcohol wasn't working for her, and so she stopped drinking. Today she leads a thriving online community dedicating to supporting crew who are sober or sober curious. Join us as Laura shares her personal journey, the impact sobriety has had on her mental and physical health, and her mission to normalise staying sober when working on yachts. We'll also explore how the Sober Crew Social Club empowers crew to navigate peer pressure, redefine team dynamics, and create a safer, more supportive environment on board. Hi Laura, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you for joining us today. You've been busy. Your social media platform and your Sober Crew Social Club has hit the nail on the head, hasn't it?
I think the word you're looking for is drowning. Is how I felt lately. I have been so busy, but I am so unbelievably privileged to be this busy. I mean, when I started this page, it was something that was really, really sort of just for me. And if I meet some people, connect with some people, that would be great. And it just, oh my God, it just took off in a way that I was never anticipating. And I'm really busy, but what an absolute privilege to be able to do it.
So the feedback's been unexpected?
Massively unexpected. You know, I think anything to do with alcohol or any sort of, I mean, I don't really speak about substance abuse or anything like that because it's not my lived experience, but anything like that, I mean, it's so taboo and we don't really talk about it. So I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if this is going to really come back and sort of like bite me on the arse, to be honest. But I was just like, I'm just going to do it. I just want to keep myself accountable, hopefully meet some people and make this as easy for me and others. And yeah, I was just really, really shocked and surprised by how many people seem to resonate with what I was saying. Because, you know, that's the very nature of this problem, is you think you're the only one, you're the only person who's ever done anything that they're ashamed of, or you know, that's drunk too much and feels like a bit of a, you know, idiot.
I mean, it's such a normal part of life now, isn't it? It's such an accepted part of life in all areas of life, not just in yachting, but shoreside as well. So it's probably something that most people have something to say on the topic, have lived through some experience involving alcohol, which they're either embarrassed of or ashamed of or scared of. And I think the feedback that you've had must show where people are at with alcohol.
Yeah, I think the thing that I sort of quickly realised is yachting really needs, what's the word, like a space, let's say. It's not just for people who, like me, you know, was a drinker and decided to stop drinking. It's also for people who just don't drink, you know, and we are seeing a shift internationally where younger people aren't drinking as much as us older folk because, you know, if you just look at sort of societal changes, nowadays you don't need to go out to socialise. Everybody's on their phones. You don't need to go out to a bar if you want to pull. You just pick up your phone and swipe right, you know. So like people don't need to go out so much. And I think that has a big impact on the way that people socialise. It's less sort of in person, but also just I think there's more of a shift towards health. You know, people just are drinking less, but those people also need to feel like they have a place in yachting. The people who just don't drink or want to drink less, it's not necessarily just for people who are like, oh, I think I might want to give up drinking, or maybe I have a problem, or maybe I'm an alcoholic. It's not just for those people. It's just creating a sort of area where it's like, it's okay if you don't drink.
Yeah.
You can come be friends with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I think I've jumped the gun a bit because it's such a good topic. But can we just go back a little bit and just can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into yachting?
Yeah, oh gosh. So I grew up on a boat. My parents built a boat, and so I grew up sailing. So being on the water and being at sea is sort of in my blood, I suppose. It was 20 when I joined yachting. I decided we had friends, grown up sailing. Their daughter was in yachting, and I was a bit like, oh, that sounds like a bit of me. I'll give it a go. And what was initially a summer job turned out to be a pretty long career
How long have you
in
been on
yachting.
yachts? How long?
Oh God.
You don't have to declare it.
Probably some of the people listening to this weren't even born yet. No, I mean I joined my first boat in 2006. So
Okay.
that is, yeah,
Yeah.
a long time.
Long
But yeah.
time. And are you still working on board?
So I took a bit of hiatus just due to some family stuff I had
Mm.
going on at home. So I couldn't really properly fully commit, but I'm looking to return.
Okay. And also, I guess this Sober Crew Social Club takes up a bit of your time as well.
Yeah, I mean, my goodness, like we were saying, it was so unexpected. And, at the moment, I'm sort of running this Dry July challenge. So that also, it's amazing because we're not a very big group of people who are doing it, but it's just having that daily check in, that being able to have somewhere where you can be like, oh, I fancy a drink, but actually, I don't want to have a drink. And that's keeping me quite busy as well. But like I say, it's great. I can't believe it. So it's great.
Oh, it's great. It's obviously much needed. So, just going back to your time on board yachts, what was the drinking culture like when you were on board and drinking?
So, I mean, funnily enough, actually, when I first joined my first ever boat at 20, I didn't drink. And there's nothing like a smug 20-year-old who doesn't drink. But I was immediately aware. I mean, the first boat that I worked on, the captain had a drinking problem. I would hazard a guess to suggest it's not for me to name anybody, but in terms of their relationship with alcohol, but it was crates and crates and crates of wine in the delivery, and crashed the boat when we were pulling into Saint Tropez and all these various different things. So I sort of saw firsthand. I was like, right, okay, there's quite a lot of drinking that goes on here, but thankfully, that won't impact me because I don't drink. But it's just a really slow, sort of insidious little thing. And I got a boyfriend. We were in the south of France. He was taking me out to sort of fancy bars and we were drinking champagne. And, I mean, you fall in love with the lifestyle at that age. I mean, how fabulous and glamorous it all is. And,
Yeah.
and then that was it really. I just I had drunk previously to this stint where I didn't, and yeah, that was it. I was just a drinker then, and it was all fine. And there was no sort of issue there. But like I say, it is a slow, progressive thing.
And the culture on board was of heavy drinking.
Yeah, and I mean, wherever there's water and boats, there's booze. I mean, that's just how it is. And I mean, I think every industry thinks that their industry is a heavy drinking industry. And if you look at all different sorts of careers, that's true. But the difference is in yachting is that you don't have the support of your family around you, your friends. You can't go to the doctor. It's really isolated. You're taking what is a really intense, stressful job in an intense, stressful living environment, and then you're adding booze to it, which is the sort of accepted go-to de-stressor on board. Drop the guests off, right, okay, we're going to get on the piss. That's just what people do. It's right, quick, wrap up, all crew, guests are off, cover up, knock off, beers on the bow, let's go for a swim, sort of thing. That's just how it goes. There's so many different factors, but I do feel like yachting in particular, there's just the lack of external support that you get in real life that is missing.
And peer pressure? Is peer pressure a reason
Yeah.
for the levels of drinking?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I think that again, that is pretty universal, peer pressure. And I think, like I said, it was interesting actually. I had an experience quite recently where we were discussing this. Somebody posted on a Facebook group with some young person saying like, oh, I want to come into yachting, but I don't drink. Is that a problem? And the response that somebody put was like, oh my God, grow up. This isn't the industry for you if you don't drink. And that's sort of just openly on a Facebook group. But there is this sort of idea that if you don't drink, you are boring, you're missing out. Oh God, it's so and so. All right, we'll just chuck them on watch. There can be that attitude. And I think it often comes from the top down as well. If you have like a captain or heads of department who drink a lot, it's easier just to hire crew as well that fit into that dynamic. But Peer pressure, yeah, I think peer pressure exists across the board, but again, when your community, let's say, depends on it because you're on a boat, then it is that much stronger. Again, it's not like you're at home and you're like, I'm going to sit this one out, it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, if I don't go out drinking, I'm really excluded. But I think it's also really surprising because so many times my experience on board is if you are open about the fact that you don't want to drink, chances are there's somebody else who feels the same way. It just takes that one person to be the first one to be like, actually, actually, I've been drinking a bit much recently and I want to take a break. So it can kind of go both ways. What I'm hoping to be able to do is to empower people to be able to make the decisions that are right for them and having that courage. I mean, I go out all the time. I go on nights out, I go dancing, I do all this sort of stuff that people say, oh, I can't do that if I'm not drinking. But it's like, that's because I've given myself the tools to be able to do that. I also, I don't know, maybe I'm just old enough, but I don't give two fucks if somebody wants to give me some crap about not drinking. You know, it's like, I don't need to impress anybody. I don't need to fit into that narrative. If they want to think I'm boring, that's all right with me. I don't. So, you know, it's also so often, you know, I've mentioned this before, but it's like every single time I meet somebody and they find out that I don't drink, they automatically reflect their own drinking back to me. And it's such a mirror and everybody feels uncomfortable. You know, everybody, I'm as a non-drinker, it's like I make that person feel like, oh, well, actually, I don't drink that much, you know, and actually, you know, da, da, da. So it's like people are just so worried about their own drinking that being around a non-drinker just highlights their own insecurities about it often as well. Sorry, I know I've gone off tangent.
No, no,
Off on a tangent. It's just the way, just the way I am.
It's a good topic though, isn't it? That it has so many variables to it, so many elements of psychology and physical health and social. I mean, it's just mammoth. Like you said earlier, you know, you almost, when you're not drinking, you almost have to justify your reasons for not drinking. You can't just say you're not drinking. You have to justify it, which is bizarre culture, isn't it?
And it's not something that people have to justify. Oh, actually, no, I don't smoke. You know, it's just like, okay, cool, yeah, because that's actually, yeah, it's maybe not that healthy. Everybody understands that. But yeah, drinking is such a cultural norm that it is something that you feel that you have to defend. But that's something that I've sort of stopped doing. I don't have to defend my decision. If you do decide to make a decision to change your relationship with alcohol, own it. You know, don't be afraid of it. Don't sort of, oh, I'm going to try and not drink, or, oh, I'm on antibiotics. Don't be meek about it. If somebody asks you why you're not drinking, well, because I'm not. Or because when I drink, I turn into a bit of an asshole. Or like, you remember last time I got drunk and you had to carry me home? I don't want to do that again, you know. You don't need to be embarrassed about the decision. And I think it's very empowering being open about it. And it sort of takes the wind out of people's sails, because if they're trying to bring you down, well, they can't if you already own that decision.
Do you think it's the fear of being different, the fear of standing out?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it is a human survival instinct to be inside of the pack, so to speak. So that's why I say it can be quite isolating, and you can feel a bit othered by not drinking if you are in an environment whereby you are made to feel like, oh God, you're boring, or you're this, or you're this, which is why I think it's just really important to understand that just by not drinking, it doesn't mean that you lose everything that you are or that you were when you were a drinker.
It's odd how we attach personality traits to alcohol, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So you were on board a yacht, being part of the drinking culture. What made you decide to stop?
So I have had many periods of sobriety over the years. I've done a couple of months here, a couple of months there. I've lost count of the amount of I'm never drinking again, and so I take a month off. And I think deep down, I knew really that giving up drinking was the right option for me. And drinking was quite tied up in my identity. So I think when I sort of told people, right, okay, I'm gonna stop drinking, people were quite surprised, because from the outside, I was just somebody who liked to have a drink. I like nice wines. I like nice cocktails. I like making nice cocktails. I was in the restaurant. It's like, I'll give the wine list to Laura. She knows, you know, that was who I was. I wasn't sort of skulking around with a bottle in a brown bag and, you know, this sort of like, oh God, somebody's an alcoholic. You know, I didn't have that relationship with alcohol. But I think I knew deep down for a long time that drinking just wasn't really serving me anymore, to be honest. And it sort of hit a point where I just had to literally weigh it up. And I was like, what is alcohol giving me? And what is it taking from me? And what sort of life do I want to live? And is alcohol helping me get there? Or is it not? And I just realized that actually what I was getting from alcohol was a taste that I enjoyed and momentary reprieve from shit that I didn't want to deal with, like stress, or I had a bad day, or had a fight with my boyfriend, or, whatever. That's what alcohol was giving me. But actually, long term, it made things like anxiety a lot worse, depression a lot worse. It created this cycle of shame whereby the way that I would act, I wasn't particularly proud of. I would constantly break my word to myself, because Monday would roll around and be like, oh, it was a bit of a heavy weekend. Oh, well, I'm not going to drink for a few days. And then there'd be a whisper around the crew mess, like, oh, I might go for a beer today. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, go on then. So you're constantly eroding your self-trust because you're saying one thing, doing another thing. And it just really sort of starts to eat away at you. And your subconscious doubts yourself in all sorts of facets. And yeah, just realised the gap between who I wanted to be and who I actually was, and the life I wanted and the life I was actually living was widening. And I was just like, I just don't think this is serving me anymore. I can't keep doing this. It just got exhausting, actually. It got really, really exhausting. And that constant feeling of, I've done it again. And I said I wouldn't do it again, but I've done it again. And I feel absolutely terrible. I'm in a pit of self-loathing. The time that I felt the most full of shame, that was all off the back of drinking. So it's not like something bad happened every time, but all the bad shit tended to happen as a result of drinking. And I was just like, imagine if I could just get rid of that. Imagine if I could just not have to deal with feeling like I hate myself again. Let's give that a go. You know?
So what did you do we've talked before about this, and I know I use alcohol as a confidence boost. And I know on your Instagram page you talked about imposter syndrome and that being one of your reasons for drinking. I totally understand that, totally get that. What can people do instead? What's the alternative?
I mean, that is so normal, right? It's so normal to think, right, I've got something coming up, I feel nervous about it, I'm going to have a drink, I'm going to take the edge off. But what that sort of does is actually just deepen that feeling of lack of self-confidence, because it's telling your brain that I can't be confident without the alcohol. And so I would ask, what have you tried to be in that situation without alcohol? Let's say, for argument's sake, if you were going out tonight and you weren't going to drink, what other things are there maybe in your life that help you? I know I'm putting you a bit on the spot.
No.
But like, what, and I don't mean in terms of a social situation, but what makes you feel confident in life? What helps you to feel confident? And then how do you develop on that rather than using an alternative tool? And I mean, that's a bit of a slower process. But I mean, if you're in the moment, things that I do, for example, is I just like, first of all, I always have a little dance party on my own. Chuck some decent music on and just have like a little dance, something that something to just get your energy level up anyway. And yeah, I think it depends on the social situation, but it's like, if you know that you're going with somebody, you can just maybe give them a bit of a heads up or something, just like, I'm feeling a bit nervous, and just help each other through it. But I think it's just worth exploring, what is it that the alcohol is actually giving me? Because it's not actually giving you confidence, it's giving the perceived idea of increased confidence. So what is it that gives you confidence outside of that?
I'm gonna have a think about that, because I have no idea.
It's hard, isn't it? Isn't it hard?
Isn't it scary that I cannot think of anything else that, other than the people that I'm with, your safe group, your friends, your partner, whoever. I can't actually think of anything that gives me confidence other than alcohol. Wowzers. Okay.
But so many people are in that position. And I mean, I was in that position as well, but alcohol for me and my journey to sobriety, it's such a twee phrase. Journey, I hate it, but mine was very much a commitment. So I was like, right, I need to figure out how to do this without alcohol. So that's why, I do various things like, and everybody's different, but it's like I find I get a lot of confidence from working out. It gives me a massive energy boost. So earlier in the day I might do a workout, for example, and it doesn't even need to be, it's not like I'm in the gym for like an hour. It's like even if it's just a 10 minute, it's just that confidence booster. It's knowing that I'm doing the things to sort of show up and take care of myself that give me confidence. It's doing the things that I say I'm going to do, seeing things through. That gives me confidence, because it's like, I know, like, I've got myself. I don't need anything else, because I know that I am taking care of myself, you know, in whatever way, shape or form. And that's a bit of a longer process. But if you're in a moment of like, right, I'm going out tonight, shit, I don't want to drink, but I'm nervous, what do I do? Then yeah, put something on that you feel fabulous in, which again can be quite hard. Put some music on, have a little dance party at home before you go out. Get yourself elevated already, so you're already going out with a sense of confidence. I mean, it's tiny, but it does make a difference.
Yeah, no, but it's all steps, isn't it? And you touched on it earlier about the physical impacts of stopping drinking. The reasons for stopping drinking doesn't have to be because you're worried about your alcohol consumption levels or your, you know, what you did last night. It can actually just be for the idea of a healthier lifestyle, better sleep, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's so personal, and I don't believe that everybody who drinks has a drinking problem and drink is the devil and everybody has to stop drinking. And, you know, I'm not out here as a one woman like drinking's bad crusade. I don't think that, you know, and it's not one size fits all, but it's just so many people have a really sort of healthy, responsible relationship with drinking. They can go out and have a couple of glasses of wine with dinner, fabulous, come home. It's figuring out where you are, what your relationship with drinking is. Is it serving me? Is it making my life better? Is it making my life worse? Is it helping me to advance? Is it helping me hit my goals, or is it not? When I drink, do I feel better? Do I feel worse? You know, and it's not just a sort of hangover. It's like, for me and like for so many people, it's the increased sense of anxiety. It's things like that. And that doesn't always just come from a heavy drinking. That can be from very moderate drinking as well. So if you can go out and have a couple of glasses of wine and, you know, or a couple of cocktails and you feel fine about it, then this isn't for you necessarily. It's just if it's not your priority, and it's that as well, it's figuring out what your priorities are. And yeah, as I say, we are seeing more and more people's priorities are their health. People's priorities are having fun in ways that aren't getting drunk.
So have you noticed any changes in your health since stopping drinking?
For sure. If we're looking just at the very sort of immediate changes, I sleep better, I've lost weight, I have more energy, I'm all round just feel a lot better. Yeah, my skin is brighter, my eyes are clearer, all the sort of stuff that you hear people say. And it's really frustrating, but it's true. Like, I'm sorry to say that it's true. And I think what it is as well is, you know, I'm more consistent with working out, more consistent with looking after myself. And that's what it is by removing the drink, it gives you the space to be able to look after yourself better, because you're not beating yourself up. You don't have a hangover. You know, I go out for lunch with friends and then I can come back and do a workout. Whereas in the past, I'd be like, oh, are you having a glass? Oh, I'm having a glass. In that case, let's get a bottle. Well, what's one bottle? Oh, silly little bottles. May as well get another, you know, and then the rest of the afternoon's a write-off. And it's not that necessarily after that lunch I was a complete mess, falling around all over the place, and it wasn't helping me achieve the life that I wanted. And so I made a change.
What was the reaction when you stopped drinking on board?
So I have had loads of different reactions over my course of sobriety. And lots of people are like, oh God, so boring. And, you know, when I first stopped drinking, that really impacted me. I didn't like that. I didn't want people to think I was boring. I wanted people to think I was fun and exciting and, you know, oh, well, maybe I am boring. And so things like that, that's why now, you know, my whole attitude has changed. It's like, nobody gets to determine if you're boring.
No.
You get to determine who you are and how you show up. And somebody thinking you're boring because you're not getting shit-faced is on them. It's not on you.
And what about the team element on board? You know, it's a very cliquey dynamic on board a yacht. Does it affect the team dynamics when somebody does stop drinking or choose not to drink on a night out? And it doesn't even have to be a permanent decision. It's just, you can just choose one night to not have a drink.
Yeah, it's hard to give a definitive answer because every boat is so different.
Mm.
So you could have one crew member on one boat who decides not to drink, and I've been on boats and I've sort of said, like I'm going to do sober October, and two other people are like, oh fucking hell, yeah, me too. And we were during downtime in a yard and stuff like that, so we were like, okay, right, it's going to be like Operation Fitness Goals, you know. So we're like, not drinking, we're going to do this. And the response was great. Then I've had other times where people, like I say, have been really, they almost took it personally. Like,
Mm.
how dare you? Like, you're so boring. So it's just, it really depends. It depends on the type of crew you're with.
Mm.
It
But
depends on your captain as well. Like, you have captains who, some captains drink a lot, some captains don't. I was having this conversation the other day, and her friend is a captain who doesn't drink. And so that's just very normalised and on board. And this is something that I have never seen, but I just think is absolutely fantastic, is along with all the rest of the provisions, there's alcohol-free beers.
yeah.
There's alcohol-free beers and there's options, and it's like, I would put money on the fact that when you have drop-off day drinks or whatever, if you put alcohol-free beers in there as well, people would drink them.
Mm.
Not because they're too drunk and they don't realise the difference, but because having that option, or people might have one regular beer and then be like, I'm all right actually, and then switch to something else.
Mm.
Just having that option, but when there aren't the options there, it makes it harder as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of non-alcoholic
Oh my
drinks
God, it has literally never been easier
now. No.
to not drink. The other day, it's like England playing football, and I'm like, I feel like having a beer and watching the football in a pub. So I did. And I had a Peroni Zero and just scratched that itch, but without,
Yeah.
without the impact, without the
Yeah.
health impact.
I was listening to a podcast recently with a comedian who has stopped drinking, whose name has completely escaped me. But he was saying that his reasons for enjoying a drink at the end of the day, you've had a hard day at work, and that initial click of the can, that initial fizz, that sound, and then that initial glug of the beer, and that deep sigh that you get from, okay, it's downtime now.
Yeah.
And he moved on to the zero alcohol beer, and he got that same feeling from the no alcohol beer, because it's the process, it's the click, it's the fizz, it's the okay,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. You don't need that alcohol to get that feeling of calm.
It's the symbolic association. It's the association with relaxation that I think we have. And it's that, oh my God, I can finally switch off. And I was saying this yesterday, it was almost like when it came to drop off, having that drink was like, oh my God, it's actually real. They've really gone. Like, they've actually gone. It's proof because I'm drinking. Yeah, it's just this association with relaxation and fun. And like now, I know every country is different, but it's near enough every bar you go to, they'll knock you up an like a virgin mojito or a virgin pina colada or a virgin something else. And that was always something for me as well, where I know that alcohol-free alternatives don't work for everybody. And I think especially if you are looking at it from the background of, perhaps you are an alcoholic, it can be very triggering, because you're having a beer, but you're not getting the satisfaction that you need, that you, again, associate with it. So you're like, well, if I'm drinking this, it sort of looks like a beer, tastes like a beer, but it's not a beer. So it can then lead people to picking up the real thing. But for me, they have been absolutely instrumental, because I still want to feel like if I have some good news, I want to have a little celebratory drink.
Yeah.
And it's no Secco or Net Zero. Or I was saying, so on Friday, I'm meeting up with a friend of mine, and we're doing like a big taste testing thing. So we've got all different wines and beers, and going to make some cocktails. And it's like, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
It's still that feeling of like something special.
Yeah, scratches that itch. So let's talk about Sober Crew Social Club.
Okay.
What is it, and what made you decide to set it up?
The first part was, like I say, as somebody who had been both a drinker and sober in yachting, I was like, I want to set myself up for success, really. I want to make this as easy as possible to stay sober. Being on a boat, massively fucking triggering. You get leftover guest wine that's like 500 quid a bottle, and just finish it off. You think, oh, well, I'd never get to drink that normally, so I may as well, I better have a taste. And it is so easy to drink on boats. So I was like, I am going to make it as easy as possible to try and stay sober, because I'm very open about the fact it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm sober now, everything's easy, yeah, perfect. It is a day at a time thing. So I work every day on staying sober, and it's not that I feel triggered to drink anymore, and I don't feel like every day I'm at risk of drinking, let's say, but it's very much a day by day thing. And I wanted to connect with other people, because I realised that in my recovery, the thing that helped the most was connecting with other people who were sober. And I was like, if I can put myself out there and be openly sober, well, it's going to make me look like a right dickhead if I go out and get drunk, for starters. And if I can connect with other people who drink, who don't drink, sorry, who don't drink, then that will be fantastic. And I was like, well, if I can connect and then they can connect, people supporting people, basically. And that was really the premise. And that is still the premise.
We all want to feel like we fit in with a community.
Absolutely. Community connection and support are the sort of foundations of Sober Crew Social Club, the world's most frustrating mouthful to try and say. I always say, if I have my time again, I'll call it something else, because it's so difficult. It's like a tongue twister. Every time I try and say it, I muck it up. But, you know, I've got a history of coaching. I mean, I just thought there's so many different ways to tackle this. As it grew, I sort of thought, you know, it's not for me to say to people, this is the one way you must get sober. Everybody's different, and what works for one person isn't going to work for somebody else. So that's really where the support comes in, is creating a platform which will be on the website, which there's going to be all different types of resources. So if you do feel like you want to stop drinking, there are all different places that you can go to. There are different ways of finding support. There are going to be all sorts of different tools and everything from a coaching perspective, which is my background. It is more about learning about yourself and your reasons behind drinking, and developing that confidence and having the ability to sort of say no in the face of people maybe giving you a bit of shit about it, you know, but also having the other resources available in terms of fellowships and different recovery programs that other people may feel more aligned to. So it's just allowing people to find the support and the community that they need if they either are sober or want to become sober, or just feel like, you know what, I think I've got a bit of a problem, but I don't know. And, you know, that's such a big thing, because on board, who are you going to talk to?
Yeah.
If you're a junior deckhand, who are you going to talk to? Your chief officer, who's going to then go to the captain, and then you're going to find yourself without a job. You know, that's a very real possibility, because we're in an industry where you're considered highly replaceable. You may have been dot walking and hanging around in on teas, spending all your savings for months and months and months and months to get your first crack at a job. You're not going to turn around and sort of say to somebody, shit, I think I've got a bit of an issue, can I have some help? Unfortunately, the reality is that unless you are on a very progressive, forward-thinking boat, you're going to lose your job, potentially. So it's just allowing people to have somewhere to go to where they can talk freely, openly, without judgment. I've been there. Anything that anybody has been through with regards to drinking, whatever things you've done and the stuff you feel ashamed of and the problems you feel you've caused and the things that make you feel, oh my God, I'm the only one. Nobody else can possibly be as bad as me. Nobody's done anything as bad as I've ever done last night, ever. It's only me. I've been there. You know, I've been there.
Yeah.
And it's just allowing people to have a bit of a place where they can go to and just speak to somebody. And I've said before, you know, it's not just me. I have a friend who is in the industry, long-time captain in the industry, who's also sober. So if there's, you know, any young guys out there who maybe want to talk to somebody, but they don't want to talk to a former chief stew who they think, well, she won't get it, then there's the guy who I can put you in touch with. If you have substance abuse issues, I have somebody I can put you in touch with in that case as well. You know, it's just trying to help people, either if they're in dire straits or if they're at a point where they feel like they potentially could be and they just don't want it to get any worse, because it's really scary and isolating and lonely, and it really does. The power of alcohol, and be it addiction or even if you're not quite at a stage of addiction, is it makes you isolated. And that's the power of it, and that's what it keeps the problem sort of getting worse.
It makes you feel isolated if you drink too much, because you're worried about your drinking, you've got no one to talk to, and it makes you feel isolated if you don't drink, because then you don't feel like you're part of the team or you're accused of being boring. It's a bit of a catch-22. Yeah.
But I would say actually that the times where I have felt isolated because I don't drink has been because I've let people make me feel isolated. I no longer ever feel isolated because I don't drink. It's just it's sort of like reclaiming, again, it sounds so wanky, but like reclaiming your power about it. Nobody, who was it? A president's wife, I can't remember who it was now, but like nobody can make you feel bad about yourself without your permission.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, you know, but it's that sort of thing. It's like back when I drank and, you know, my chief officer at the time said, oh God, you're really boring. And like, oh, does this mean we're going to lose fun, Laura? I felt bad about that because I let him make me feel bad. Now I don't let anybody else have that power over me. It's not for somebody else to tell me that I'm boring, or they don't know, actually. I'm loads of fun.
I can tell.
God.
You really are.
No, my God, that's the sort of thing that an absolute bloody nightmare would say. But no, I mean, it's like, who gets to determine that you're boring? Who gets to say that? You know, I mean, they can say it, they can think it, but it's not for them to determine that you're boring. Prove them wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's quite difficult, I guess, in a small, confined space with a select few number of people to be that lone person who says, I'm not boring, I don't need drink. Again, it's putting your head above the parapet, isn't it? It takes a certain amount of confidence in yourself, a bit of self-belief to get to that stage.
And it's terrifying.
So what can a crew member who is sober curious, what can they do? What resources are available? What are the first steps?
So first of all, I would say if they have access to Instagram, which most people do, they can contact me. And my website is still in the process of being built, which is taking 1,000 years because I'm not very technologically minded, but it is on its way. I promise. I've been saying this for months, but it is on its way. Edging closer every day to completion. But I do have all the resources. They're just not all in one place at the moment. So please just reach out. That is the most important thing. And I know it's daunting, but it is really a case of just having that tiny seed of courage and just reaching out and saying, hey, I'm not happy with my drinking. What can I do? Because it is so personal. That's the thing. It's not a sort of blanket. I could say, okay, the first thing you should do is don't drink. How can you advise somebody not to drink when their reason for drinking could be that they're dealing with grief? The next person's reason that they're drinking is because they're lonely. The next person is because it's confidence. The next person is because they have an eating disorder. The next, there's not sort of a one size fits all. So it's just reaching out, connecting, and just knowing that you just don't have to be on your own with it. And all of those things that I've just mentioned, I've lived all those things. It could be somebody who's dealing with something that they feel like nobody else is dealing with. And I think especially at the moment with social media being so prolific as it is, we see so much happy, shiny yachting. And we think that sometimes we are the only person who's not having the best time in the world. And it's just not true. Yachting is hard. I mean, we've all had amazing experiences, but it can be lonely and it can be isolating. And if you don't have the tools to deal with certain emotions, you don't have the tools to know how to deal with that shit, so easy to pick up a drink and then it becomes a habit. It is so insidious and it is so progressive.
Yeah.
And the thing that I would just say, which sounds probably a bit of a depressing note as we're coming to the end, but it does get worse. It very rarely gets better. If you are starting to see the seeds of, potential addiction, or you're starting to become worried about it, it very rarely eases up. It does continue to get progressively slowly worse. And it might be that you're at a point where you drink only at the weekend. And then you're like, well, I'd never drink during the week yet. But slowly those yet fall away and suddenly you are having a drink, maybe midweek. But I'd never drink every day yet, and then, but they creep in and it's slow and it can be progressive. And like I say, it's not that I believe that everybody who drinks has a drinking problem, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just to be able to give some support to the people who are struggling, because I know firsthand how difficult it is.
We touched on it earlier about culture and the culture of drinking on board yachts. What can heads of departments, captains, and also yacht management, because obviously we're talking from a yacht management company, what can we do to help change that culture, if anything?
So I think, as with everything, change comes from the top. You know, it's very difficult for a lone stewardess and a crew of 20 to make a big difference. Change really tends to come from the top. So things like, for example, having those alcohol-free options on board, even something as simple as that, has the potential to make a huge change, because lots of people don't want to drink. And if there's an alcohol-free beer there, I know so many people, if it's there, they would rather drink the alcohol-free version, but they don't because it's not there, so they just have a normal beer. And just, it's really important to try and implement and find ways of connection amongst the crew that isn't just going to a bar. You know, it's like, how do you help build that crew cohesion and develop crew bonding, let's say, without just going for a drink? Like, what can you do? And something that came up on the mental health forum a few weeks ago that was discussed, which I thought was a fantastic idea, is have things like anonymous suggestion boxes. And again, because every crew is different, so again, it's not a one size fits all. Boats go through different sort of seasons, let's say, and I've worked on some boats where it's like, wow, you guys are really into like Dungeons and Dragons, and then you go onto this boat and it's like, oh right, you're all like, everybody watches Formula One, you know, so it's like every boat's going to be different. Have like an anonymous suggestion box, for example, of crew bonding activities or something, and then like something that crew can get involved with and that they have a say in, and then sort of try and create different activities that aren't just focused around booze. If people want to drink, people are going to drink, but it's just something where it's not forced upon, like, okay, well, we're all going out, it has to be to a bar. Well, what else can we do, you know?
Amazing.
Yeah,
such an amazing topic. So your Instagram page we'll share on our notes. You've got a website coming, you say?
yes.
No?
Any minute now.
Let us know. You also arrange meetups and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, my God, I didn't even mention that. Yeah, so there are meetups coming. Probably the first one will be towards the end of this season. And I'm hoping to arrange meetups, in talks at the moment with arranging something sort of in Parma, something in the south of France. And that will just be a sort of sober meetup. Details TBC. But yeah, I will be sure to share all the information as and when it's a few more solid plans in place. But yeah, just to, again, to encourage that sense of community, encourage that sense of like getting people together, because it's really hard, you know, and it's like, what better way to let people meet each other than to actually meet each other? People are scared, you know, online and behind screens. Everybody feels a little bit sort of like, oh, I don't want to reach out. It's completely natural. So just being able to meet, like connect people in person, I think is really important.
Well, let us know, because, you know, obviously we'd be happy to promote that, because there are, you know, so many people out there who share the same issues, and what you're doing to pull those people together is amazing and will help so many people. So thank you on behalf of everyone, and we'll help support you in any way we can.
I appreciate that a lot, but thank you.
No, thank you.